I'm at Seatown today, but we're not going down on the beach. In fact, I've already been down on the beach for a different video, which you might have already seen. But today we're going to go up there to Golden Cap, which is, I think, the tallest sea cliff on the south coast. Now, it used to be that you could walk along here and follow a coast path up to the top there, but that path has disappeared through coastal erosion, and so we've got to go a little bit inland and walk up, probably through that little bit of woodland up on top there. But we're going to walk up to the top of Golden Cap today. So yeah, we have to walk inland a little bit, and in a minute we'll see a finger post. Well, there's one actually that says, yeah, Southwest Coast Path, Golden Cap, this way, 1/4 mile. So we're going to go this way. We could walk all the way to Charmouth on this coast path, but we're not doing that today. Or in fact, we could walk all the way around the country on this coast path. And we're certainly not doing that today. So, up through Seatown. Here we go. So, we're breaking the wall here. And a finger post directing us to Golden Cap, 1 mile in this direction. Now, 1 mile doesn't sound too bad, but that's going to be 1 mile of quite steep climb. Yeah, already the path is starting to incline upwards. Come on. If you're wondering why we keep stopping, it's Eva's nose has to investigate things. That's a bay tree. There's a whole hedge of them here. Oh, I might pick a few bay leaves on the way home. Okay, well, there's our destination over there. Looking quite distant at the moment, but here we go. Beautifully scenic here. There are some plants I can recognise at a great distance. So up there on the hill, in fact I'm not even very sure how well it's showing up on camera, there's a band of red across the top of the hilltop there. That's not red soil, that is the flower of sorrel. Very common grassland plant. We'll try and get a close look at it. We're not walking up that field, so we can't look at that patch, but that's definitely sorrel. I can just tell from the particular shade of red. So over here in the tree there's a song thrush. If we listen out, we'll hear it. Now, song thrushes have got a really varied call. They do lots of different little tunes, but they usually repeat them in 2s or 3s, and so you can recognise the song thrush even if you don't recognise any of the songs, just by the fact that you're hearing a bird that's saying the same thing 2 or 3 times. Here's a closer look at a different patch of sorrel. All of the little red stalks you might be able to see in this field are sorrel. None of it, frustratingly, none of it close enough for me to actually show you the plant close up. But we'll keep looking. And now it's just going to be a whole load of up. Okay, here's a closer look at some sorrel. So there's the red flowers, and they don't look very red here, but when you get a whole cluster of them in a field and you're looking all through them, they do. So sorrel, edible wild plant. These arrowhead shaped leaves are edible, nice sour acidic flavour, nice in salads, sorrel soup. I wouldn't necessarily pick it right by a path there. And this is one of sorrel's relatives. This is a species of dock. Same genus, different species. You can see the similarities. It is just lots and lots of up. I mean, what else could you expect? We're going up a big hill. There's the view down to Seatown, where we started. Okay, onward and upward. Excuse me. Wait. Yeah, beautiful foxgloves there. Alright, coming up to another finger post here. Let's see what this one's going to tell us. Right, Langdon Hill that way. Well, there's something we should probably explore another day. Golden Cap and Coast Path this way. Very uneven path here. I imagine this would be pretty treacherous in wet weather. It's dry at the moment, dry mud. But yeah, when that's a lot of rain, imagine that's like a bog. Okay. Well, as is often the case, there's a bit of down before we get to the next bit of up. So we need to go down this dip here, and that's Golden Cap over there. See more patches of red on the hillside there. That's more of the sorrel. And we are going to walk past some of this, so I'll show you what that looks like when it's in a big patch. Here we go. This is where we get to see if my observation skills and recognizing plants at a great distance was all just bluster. Is that one of those patches of pink or red that we saw from a distance? Let's have a look and see what it is. And yeah, it's sorrel, but that's what we were looking at. Very, just a particular colour that stands out, and I can spot that. identify that plant at a mile's distance. So there's Golden Cap looming up ahead of us there. Still quite a climb to get up the top there. I think we're only about halfway up the up. And there's how much up we've already done. So as you can tell, Golden Cap is in the process of eroding and becoming the beach. The reason the water is a kind of muddy colour down there is because the cliffs are eroding. That's where the beach comes from. There will come a day when Golden Cap's gone and the coast has just moved inland, and the next big hill is now the big hill that's the cliff. More patches of red up on the hillside there, and now you know what those are. So it does look like we've got some really relentless up now to get to the actual top of Golden Cap. Quite a short distance, but quite a steep climb. I think we might sit on that log and have a bite to eat and a slurp of drink before we make the ascent. Really interesting. I think that must be the top of a fallen tree, inverted and planted there in the ground, crouching like some gigantic crab. Well, here we go then. In case the camera doesn't properly show the angle we're climbing, there you go, you can measure it on that one. There's the horizon over there, and there's the angle of the hillside. It's such a fantastic view from up here. So all the way down there, that's Seatown Beach. Looks like a long way off, doesn't it? It is. It's only a mile, but it feels like a long way because it's all the way uphill. Round the corner over there, Hive and the beginning of Chesil Beach, and we can see the whole of Chesil Beach all the way out to the Isle of Portland. Just in the distance there, there's rain falling between us and Portland. You can just about see it in the air. And we may get one or two more showers while we're here. But the sea looks very calm and inviting from up here, but down there on the beach, the waves are crashing. There's quite a lot of white on the edge of the beach there. It's not as calm as it looks from up here. Yeah, you can see down there actually there's quite a fresh landslide there where a big chunk of the cliff has just come off and slid down there. That's all relatively recently fallen. So we met a chap just on the other side of this hedge here who said it's like winter on the other side, and we said yeah, and yeah, he's not wrong. The weather today is really changeable. Oh look, English bluebells hanging on. Quite late, we're in the middle of May now. But that's English bluebells, obviously the leeward side of a hill here. And again, lots of sorrel. Beautiful plant, the English bluebell. Very robust looking specimen there. But that definitely is an English bluebell. You can tell by the way it droops over. Well, here comes the rain. Look at the sorrel there. Amazing. Bluebell wood here, near the top of Golden Cap. Bluebells are going over here. We got, yeah, English bluebells, greatest stitchwort. Wood avens or herb bennet. This is a plant I will do a video about in future. This one apparently has a flavour of cloves in the root, so it's got eugenol in it, which is the same aromatic chemical that you get in cloves. So I've got that in the garden. We might try digging some of that up and see what it tastes like. Interesting little feature here on the steps. There are these channels presumably to manage water runoff. But yeah, every now and again there's a channel that goes across, presumably to stop the path getting washed out. Oh, Jenny's just found wild strawberries. Look at that. Yeah, that's wild strawberries. Yeah, a little bit too early for the fruit, I think. And here we've got heather. So even though we are on a chalk downland, up on the tops here, where there's an accumulation of organic matter and you get these acid heaths, we've got bracken, we've got heather. I wouldn't be surprised if we see bilberry foliage as well. And that heather is a remnant, probably, of when this was one continuous heathland, more or less at the level we're standing now. So a great big plateau with acid soils on top of it before it was eroded down by probably glacial runoff. I think this is a periglacial landscape. These valleys are not carved by glaciers, they are carved by runoff that happened at the end of the glaciation. So yeah, this landscape prior to that would have been one great big flat heathland. Down there, Charmouth, and just round the corner, Lyme Regis. So here we are, I think at the top now, the summit of Golden Cap. Really holding on to my hat now, literally, because it's breezy up here. In fact, I think I'll probably take my hat off, lest I lose it. Well, look at that. We can barely see the Isle of Portland now, but can you see that great big column of rain falling over there? And of course a whole sheet of it across there. But our weather is coming from over here. In fact, you can see the shadows of the clouds moving across the fields here. So never mind the rain over there, because blue skies are on their way. I love to stand in an elevated spot like this and watch the shadows of the clouds galloping across the hills and fields. I think we might have one more cloud to go over us before we're done. This one here looks like it could be heading our way. Hawthorn in full flower there. And these are some species of plum. Maybe bullaces, maybe cherry plums. Not blackthorn. The foliage of blackthorn is much darker than that. So yeah, this is the top of Golden Cap. So earlier in the video I was right down there pointing up at here. Now I'm up here pointing down at there. Well, in a moment that cloud will recede away across Portland and across Weymouth, and we might be able to see the Isle of Portland. I can just about make it out behind that sheet of rain. We'll just walk up this way because I think we'll have a look over the other side as well.
Well, it's not. Is that coming this way?
No, it's going away. So yeah, this looks like a fine place to stop and have a bite to eat. Well, do you want to go on that end? You might get if you go here, you might get your feet on the ground. Hello. You got something to say? You got some biscuits coming. Lunch today is a ham and cheese roll and an assemblage of vegetables. I will save you a bit of cheese. Well, do you want a bit of cheese now before I start? Good girl. So there's a track that goes off to the cliff edge here. I'm not tempted to investigate that. I wonder if that connected to the old coast path that came up the face of the cliff, or came up the edge of the cliff before that was all gone. So now the weather has cleared away a bit further down there, we can see the iconic cliffs of West Bay down there, lit up in the sunshine. So here off the, what is it, northwestern side of Golden Cap, sorry, I'm gonna have to hold my hat again here. So down here, Charmouth, and we could walk down the hillside here and go all the way to Charmouth and all the way around to Lyme Regis. Over there at Lyme Regis, you can just make out the Cobb in Lyme Regis, which is the harbour. And then further round, that'll be Seaton, and then into Devon, and probably Wrexham down there somewhere. Just maybe not quite visible on camera. So, again, majestic view from up here. And we can see the clouds galloping across the fields, and if you think it's windy, the trees think so too. So this is the gold of Golden Cap. It's not actual gold, it's yellow clay and sand and shingle up here. But this is the natural surface here. This has not been brought here. This is the natural surface of the ground here. The sandy yellow clay and shingle. So we'll head back down around the landward side now, and then back down to Seatown. So that was Golden Cap. Bit of a trek to get up here, and not the most accessible path, quite lumpy and bumpy in places, but the views from up here are absolutely stupendous. Amazing amount of bluebells out here in the open. I normally associate bluebells with cool shady woodlands, but they do grow in fields and in this case on hilltops. Beautiful flower, and actually a little bit further behind here, just presumably because the conditions are that much colder up here on the top of the hill. Here's another fine thing to stand and marvel at. The wind racing across the fields of grass down there. So nowhere to go but down now, and sometimes the downward part of a climb like this can be more punishing than going up. So I think we've probably earned a slice of cake when we get home. So that's quite remarkable. In the time it's taken us to climb up Golden Cap and come back down, this entire field has been ploughed. So thanks for joining us on our hike up Golden Cap. I hope that's been interesting. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.